When we talk about milk feeding, the main goal is to try and double the calf's birth weight between when they're born and 56 days of age, and then we want to get them to about 100 kilos when they're 12 weeks of age. Within the milk feeding period, what we really want to do is to have the majority of the diet made up of milk or good quality milk replacer, and then we want to try and get the animal onto a concentrate diet. So when we talk about milk feeding the calf, there are several options of feed available. The first is obviously colostrum. The second then is transition milk, and the third is whole milk or milk replacer. So when we talk about transition milk, it's actually the milkings 2 to 6 of the cow. So transition milk is packed full of growth hormones, it's got the immunoglobulins or antibodies, and elevated levels of minerals and vitamins for the calves. So ideally calves should receive at least 4 feeds of transition milk. If we ask the question, how much milk should a calf actually be fed? For that first week, after the first initial colostrum feed, when we move on to transition milk, the calves should be fed 10 to 13% of their birth body weight. And then after the first week, the calf needs to be fed 13 to 15% of their birth body weight. So for example, for a 35 kilo calf, that's about 6 litres. There are several different types of milk feeding systems which are available. They comprise of once-a-day milk feeding, twice-a-day feeding, ad-lib feeding, and using an automatic feeder, such as the ones that are here. Once-a-day milk feeding is a real option for farmers to reduce the labour input associated with calf rearing. The biggest thing to remember is that when you're once-a-day feeding, calves need to be thoroughly checked twice a day, and they also need to be offered feed on 2 separate occasions. So for example, you might choose to feed them milk in the morning and then you return in the evening and feed them their concentrate feed, thoroughly checking them on both occasions to pick up any animals that may be ill. If you have good quality milk replacer, there's no difference to that or to feeding whole milk. Again, once it's high quality whole milk. When selecting a milk replacer, you want to look at the products in it. Preferably, you want milk-derived proteins, and you want to make sure that you're consistent in how you feed it. So you're constantly feeding it at the same temperature, and you're also making it to the same reconstitution rate or specification every day. It can be difficult to choose a milk replacer. In terms of the crude protein content, you want over 20%. Particularly for rearing bulls. If, for example, you want a higher crude protein, maybe for your replacement heifers, that should be 23 to 26% crude protein. In terms of the fat content, we're looking at 18 to 20%. The crude fibre should be less than 0.15%, and the ash should be less than 8%. So there's a couple of things to remember when you're reconstituting your milk replacer. The first thing to remember is the temperature of the water. So you want the water at body temperature, but make sure that you get the water temperature right first before you add the powder in. Make sure that it's mixed thoroughly, that there's no sediment on the bottom of your mixing barrel. You need to follow the manufacturer's recommendations when you're making or mixing the milk replacer.